Sounds good. So I didn't know if you wanted to say something, JJ, like to kick it off.
No. I try to be a fly on the wall and only answer questions if y'all have questions for the board, I will answer any questions. So
Okay.
the big thing I will tell you, just that seems to caught some people off guard, is right now there's no internet service being provided at the national conference. So if a presenter needs internet, they will have to use their hotspot or the moderator's hotspot. But internet is $30,000. So you can see why there's no internet at this session. So
yeah, that makes sense.
that seems to be catching people off guard. That was the meeting this morning. That was a big deal. And so anyway.
Okay. All right. Well, without further ado, I know it looks like we'll be a smaller group. I did get several emails from folks wishing that they could attend, but the date or time didn't work for them. So just in interest of people's time, we'll go ahead and get started. I know Emily is going to be taking some notes for us. We're here for the Ag Issues Committee workshop, where we'll kind of work on our report and plan of work. But I just wanted to kind of remind everybody what the Ag Issues Committee is and what we do. The Ag Issues Committee provides educational opportunities that help NACAA members identify, define, and educationally address issues in agriculture that impact the sustainability of agriculture operations in their areas. So it's a lot of stuff. In addition, it encourages and trains members to carry out high impact public relation projects to enhance appreciation for an overall understanding of agriculture. This charge includes the development of professional improvement opportunities, securing resources to fund these activities, and promoting these activities to the members. Professional improvement program ideas should come from the total NACAA membership to this committee and through the various state chairs. As ideas for professional improvement are brought to the Ag Issues Committee, it will be the responsibility of the committee to determine if the idea for professional improvement is feasible, and if so, then determine what course should be taken to offer this opportunity to members. So that is what the Ag Issues Committee is. Sometimes if it's not a great home in animal science or agronomy or horticulture, it might fit in that Ag Issues Committee. We're kind of a very broad, over-encompassing committee. As I stated earlier, our committee currently is 3 members. We're typically a 4-member committee, but a committee member had a change of career, and so we ended up choosing not to replace that person mid-year. And going forward, we will have that back to 4 members, and then we'll have, I currently serve as the national chair, and I've been reappointed in that position, but I am running for vice president. If elected, then I will have to step down as the committee chair, and so we'll have to appoint somebody new. I got that correct, right, JJ? Perfect. All right. So first thing that I would like, when folks are online here, if you could put your name and state in the chat. I just have to have a name and state of all who are in attendance of our committee workshop. So if you could do that, that would greatly help me. So don't be shy on that. And then we'll just kind of go ahead and get started here. Really want to look at the committee goals for the upcoming year. Before we talk about the goals, I just want to let you know a little bit of what our committee has done this previous year. We have, obviously, a big part is soliciting abstracts for AMPIC. So we received abstracts, we went through the presentations, and then we made selections as to who we would like to offer to have come and present at AMPIC. We did not select every abstract submitted to us, so we did review and analyze those abstracts. So just know that going forward, that's kind of what we based on. Our plan was to do one of the webinar 365s with the Farm Bill, but with things being so late in the process, we did not do a webinar this year with the new Farm Bill. But that was one that we were thinking about. And then another one that we were looking on is kind of like the workforce and labor issue, but we did not pull that together as we were really focusing hard on the Farm Bill at first and then basically ran out of time for them. We have planned a joint super seminar with early career development focused on grant funding. We figured it would come off better if we worked with the early career to pull off this topic, really wanting to help our members figure out, how to get a grant, kind of walking through the different steps of securing that grant, like how you come up with the idea, what opportunities are there for grants, how to write that grant, and then how to evaluate. And then we're going to have a panel of experts with our presenters and then fellow extension folks that have been successful at obtaining grants. So we're pretty excited for that. And then we've, met and just kind of talked about a few other issues, but we worked hard as a committee of 3. Anything you'd want to add to that, Emily?
No, I think that sums it up.
Sounds good. So kind of get to that goal setting part. For those that have logged on today, here's your chance to provide input to the Ag Issues Committee, regardless if you're serving on the national committee or if you're a state chair or if you're just really interested in ag issues. Would love to have some feedback as to things that you would like us to work on, things that you think we should work on, things you'd like to see done differently. We're willing to listen and try to implement as many as we can. Little quiet bunch. As a committee member, Emily, what is something that you would like to see for the committee since you'll be re-upped for a second year?
Well, I think if the Farm Bill ever passes, that would be, a great thing to try to do this year is actually do that webinar. But I don't have any other ideas off the top of my head right now.
Okay.
So I will let you know in future planning, because as vice president, I got to look at all the super seminar proposals. But next year in Montana, I'm just going to let you know that we'll probably be limited to the number of super seminars to probably 3. This year we had 8 proposals and we accepted 6. I believe that's or 5 or 6. So next year, if we have 8, I'm just letting you know, nothing against any proposal, but we're probably limited on space. Same way with presentation. This year you had the opportunity, you had 10 with an opportunity to get more if you thought you needed more. This committee didn't do that, but if chances are next year, whatever number they come up with, that first number will probably be the number, and there won't be any extra slots available. Just because Montana and Connie, you probably already knew this from being on the board, it's just limited space, and we won't have the same space available. But don't want to be thinking about Montana before we get Dallas out of the way. We still have to go through that, but just the future, just as you move forward, that's something to be considered. So
sounds good. Thank you for that 411 insight. All right. So those that have tuned in, like Charlotte or Ed or John, Wayne or William, any thoughts, ideas, something that you'd like to see us do, something that you'd like to see, something you've always wanted to see? Well, this could be a very, very fast meeting. I'll just say everything went great, it's going great. Keep up the great work. Good luck. Do we want to look at doing a webinar? I mean, the Farm Bill would be a good one if they pass it. If they don't pass it, would we want to look at one of the webinar 365s? How many on this committee meeting have ever watched a webinar 365? and say, I know,
I've watched one.
okay. I think they're a great resource to have. Okay, so we got a few hands there, so that's good. I mean, the webinars would be fairly easy since no one has to leave or travel, pretty low cost, pretty low budget. So I mean, we could encourage a webinar. We'd probably just write that down as encourage a webinar. Obviously abstracts. If we were to look at submitting a super seminar, because we're not required, but you know, if there's topics and issues at hand that we'd like to bring forward, we certainly could. Does anyone have any ideas for a super seminar? Okay, still thinking on that super seminar. As right now, as I look at this, when we think of the budget of what we're planning, I would say expected expense, if we're just doing a webinar, that would be for the committee, $0. Obviously, there's expense for Zoom licensing and whatnot, but we're not having to account for that, I don't think.
No, that's part of NACA's. We have a Zoom license.
Okay. And we do everything by email, so I would say there's nothing for phone. So right now, unless we do a super seminar, I'm not seeing much for expenses for that of the upcoming year.
Should we put some money in there in case we do decide to plan a super seminar?
I would say so. Each committee does have or is allotted $1,000 that they could spend, you know, however they see fit, whether it's at MPEC for a super seminar or other, right?
Yeah, it's $1,000 at the committee's discretion with the president's approval. I mean, it's like we had one committee ask to buy T-shirts or buy some kind of shirts for their program, and so that had to get approval by President Michler before that got accepted. So it's, but generally, you know, like for example, the horticulture committee uses theirs for their pre-tour deal. So it's, you know, it's up to y'all, to the committee, how y'all want to spend that. And we're pretty, usually if you stay within the $1,000, we won't hardly even question it. But if it's something like shirts or I think one committee wanted to buy swag to hand out. Again, that's got to be approved by the sitting president. So, and again, it's got to go through channels. It's got to go through the vice president, the council chair, vice president, but ultimately the president makes the decisions.
Yeah, because I know with our super seminar, we have some door prizes and giveaways that we were authorized to purchase, so we'll be passing that out. But so with our expenses, we can say $1,000, whether we use it or not is another thing. We can try to lump it for those economists into certain categories, you know, or we can just say not really sure, but still want to be able to have access to the funds as things
I just
come
put
up.
like potential super seminar.
Yep.
So
Well, Connie, I'm pretty sure y'all have, they're not going to zero that out. That's in the budget every year, so I wouldn't even worry about that.
Okay. Question for you, JJ. I know it has to go to voting delegate to approve the list of appointees for the vice chairs.
Mm-hmm.
But do you know, is egg issues, was every slot potentially filled in egg issues, or are we still trying to look for somebody to fill a spot?
Without me being on my computer, I'm going off memory. I'm pretty sure every slot was filled.
Okay.
Because your slot was filled and I got a question mark beside your name for the, you know, to hand that to the next vice president. Guess what? Here's your first issue. Find the replacement.
Because I know I had met with some folks, just really talking about the committee, so I was hoping that we'd be filled, but I didn't know for sure.
There is only one spot that did not get filled, and that was because it was filled, but that person left didn't leave extension. Just dropped off the committee, just wanted to be out of the committee
Gotcha.
after being approved. And I didn't, and so that one came in like March. And so instead of trying to fill it for this next slide, I just figured we'd fill it after the national meeting.
Yep.
So that
Yep.
was my thought process.
Okay. Do we have any recommendations for the committee involvement in future AMPICs? Or anything that we want to bring up or bring forward to the board?
The one thing that that the board requests is any request that is made, please be specific. Okay, don't, and I always tell the committees, if there's a history to the reason why you're wanting to make the certain request that you're making, send that along as well, because sometimes, and Connie, you can answer, we don't know the reasoning why they're asking the request that they're asking. And this board, I will tell you, this board is probably more open to change than a lot of the other boards I've been on in the past, but they also are not going to change for change's sake. So,
Yep.
So just be specific, because again, we're all open for making changes, make things better, but if there's not a really solid reason to do it, we're probably not going to do it. And believe it or not, Connie, the board doesn't know everything, even though we tell people we know everything.
Got it. All right. I will ask again, those that are online, anyone, for your chance to jump in here, say, it's your time to dream. Otherwise, no one can complain if we don't do a super seminar, or if we don't submit one, or if we don't do a webinar, or if we don't have much going on. And I know that there's a lot of ag issues across the board, so it'd be nice to hear from other folks.
I don't know about y'all, but we have a ton of new agents, a lot of turnover in South Carolina, and I know that's a common thread across the country. And you were talking about the early career development, maybe some kind of session on how to have those tough conversations, either about an ag issue or about people who aren't understanding the ag industry, kind of how to navigate those conversations could be very helpful, especially for early career people, but also just maybe even how to redirect or reframe when you're getting bombarded with misinformation, even from producers on stuff like the Farm Bill, stuff that is being debated and discussed, and how to effectively handle those conversations, and maybe some practice.
Some active learning in there. I like it.
So Charlotte, that brings up, gave me an idea. And has this committee ever thought about maybe doing a workshop or super seminar on how to handle, media, those controversial media requests, or dealing with, advocacy, strong, issues and stuff? I don't feel like I'm expressing my point right, but
No, I know what you mean. I think that would be a very useful seminar, webinar, or whatever. It'd be super useful.
Yep.
because I mean that's something that we talk to our new agents, educators on a constant basis, and I get that phone call. I just got a phone call from the local news, TV station. They want to ask me about, avian influenza and the effect, and how do I deal with this? And like going, one, you don't answer that question, deflect. But so that's what we try to teach. You don't feel like you have to answer every question. anyway, just thought Charlotte gave me that. That's a good idea. I didn't know if that fit this committee or not.
No, I think that it is a really timely one, because even within the APS Association with plant pathologists, we're having issues where media will ask, like call and get our extension input on things, and then they turn around and, oh, well, as you heard, so-and-so from this university said to buy this product, or you need this fungicide, like they'll twist words, right? Where they're not
Right.
really saying the full story. And so just how to work with that. So that's a great idea. Thank you. Okay, I see
Yeah,
a chat
solar-
here.
Yeah, that's a great solar. We have wind turbines going up left and right around here, and now we actually have opposition to wind turbines.
Yeah, solar is definitely a very controversial topic here in PA because there are farms who have sold land for solar fields, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Productive land too. Usually, they don't take the bad stuff. They take the good stuff.
Yep.
But you can still graze sheep and goats underneath them solar panels.
Yep.
Can't do the
Right.
cows, but you can do sheep and goats.
Oh, the solar contracts have been a big
Yeah.
issue.
I think that's a big issue with anybody that does contracts, even poultry contracts out. You have to have a law degree almost to understand them.
We could do a super seminar or something about gotta wear shades and then focus on all the solar development topics.
Yeah, that would be good.
No, that's good. I know the other one's kind of touchy would be with all of the mental health with farm stress, and as you go through different, last year in South Dakota, it was drought. Now, most recent, we had a bunch of rain and flooding last week and just some issues with that.
Yeah, we've actually in South Carolina, a group of us have gotten trained in mental health first aid, to try and be better advocates for that. But that's a 7.5 hour training, so that would not be a good super session. But you could take bits and pieces of it.
Yep. Or the other one is QPR, that question, persuade, refer program.
Yeah. See, I believe there's a super seminar this time that deals a little bit with mental health
Okay.
issues this time around. I believe she's from Kentucky that's doing that one.
Okay.
That's a hot button issue. One that I try to avoid at all costs.
Yep. Yep. Because even if it's not a super seminar, it could always potentially be one of the, like a 365, here's some resources, or here's some other programming to help address. Because I know one of our egg issue presentations will be on the Washington voucher program. South Dakota had something like that, but eliminated it this year due to funding. But no, good thoughts. Any other potential topics, thoughts? And we've had some quiet folks on here. Well, we'll stay on the line here for a few more minutes, just in case some of our quieter folks want to share something, but I'm not going to take more than a half hour of your time if we really don't have much stuff coming this way. And then that will give something for Emily and I, and then MJ Fisher, who is one of our other committee members but was unable to attend, something to go on that we can present to the board. But again, you know, the committees, it's the way it's set up is, yeah, we're doing the work of it, but it's really based off the input of all of our members. So we really want to take your thoughts and ideas and bring them forth, because we're only as good as the whole team. And there's a lot of stuff out there that maybe we're protected from in certain states that we're just not seeing, or it hasn't hit us yet, or it hasn't been an issue. And with our committee being as large as it is for topic wise, we really cover a lot of issues. Has there been anything that the board or others have observed, JJ, that the committee should know or the folks online should know?
Nothing that I can report on at this time.
Okay. Yep, because you just want to leave it with a good plan of work. We'll definitely get this written up and provided to the next chair. When we started, we did not have that information with our committee, so we really started from scratch. So just kind of giving at least some ideas and tips and tricks to give to the next committee would be good, I think. But
Are you,
just one second, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm at camp and I'm on limited Wi-Fi. Camp was hit by lightning. We had big thunderstorms. Like, I'm just strumped no matter where I go. It took 3.5 hours to get to camp when it should have took an hour and a half as I was getting through roads, whatnot. No weather on the radar. Of course, I get here and suddenly there's a storm that came up through Nebraska. Yeah, so lightning hit the trading post where all of the Wi-Fi and the communications is. Luckily, no fire, but yeah, it's kind of one for the record books. So yeah, so they got people working on the equipment, but I'm like, I've got this webinar. It starts at 2. I cannot miss it. I need, because then it's affecting cell reception and everything else too. And yeah, so good times.
Yeah.
So it's not an egg.
Just remind me not to ride on the same plane with you.
Yeah. You know, it's an issue. It could be an issue, like egg issue, but that whole broadband, internet, egg sector of the world.
Yeah.
We can talk about it. I don't want to say there's not a lot we can do, but really need to show the need for increased coverage. That's for sure. But yeah. So, okay. It's 2:30. I don't want to take anyone else's time unless we have more conversation or topics. I'm willing to stay online for as long as we need, but I also don't want to hold you captive and make you stay here if we really don't have anything else to like bring forward. So like we do in Parley Pro here with 4-H. Any other business? Any other business? Got to ask it 3 times, you know. Any other business? I'm not seeing anything typing in the chat, and I'm seeing folks log off. So I just want to thank you for tuning in and providing some insight to the Egg Issues Committee. And I am excited to see everyone in Dallas. So with that,
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you.
Hey, Connie, go ahead and hit stop recording, and then I got to ask you a question.